All right, there is a lot that we need to cover in the comment section of that video that went viral like that. But I think what I want to talk about in this one is going to be the most important. Have any of you seen this video? This guy's from Canada. He came to South Africa with his family for holiday and he traveled a little bit. And in this video, he's talking about how shocked and in awe and almost confused he is by the massive difference between the haves and the have-nots. In fact, in his own words, he actually says, I have never seen this level of minority oppressing the majority. And at one point during his holiday, it becomes so bad for him that he asks the guide, man, he says, like, how do you deal with this, like mentally? How do you guys deal with this massive problem? Like, you have the wealthy living in their gated communities, and like across the street, you have people living in some of the most horrendous, horrible living conditions. How do you deal with that? And the guide says to him, you know what? We are just used to it, man. We don't think about it anymore. This man then says, I don't see how you can change a country when there is no desire, no impetus for change. And that is one of the biggest hurdles that we need to get over like yesterday. So let me be very, very clear. Those of us who believe that there's nothing that we can do about poverty in our country and who have accepted it as normal, you are lying. This country that I live in now was once upon a time one of the poorest countries in the world, and they lived in shacks that looked like this. This country that today our kids jump up and down and go crazy about wanting to visit. The country who's taken the world by storm through their entertainment industry. This country was once upon a time living like this. Today, it's almost impossible to see a shack. In fact, I read somewhere that there's probably only about 1,000 homeless people in this country, and I almost don't even believe it, man. But it's because of where we come from. For those of us who believe that it's impossible for us to do anything about gangsterism and that it's just a norm in our countries and a norm in our communities, you too are lying. Look at what El Salvador just recently did. That president is not taking shit from anyone. And this one really irks me, man. For those of us who believe that corruption in government is just normal, that anybody who's part of government is just naturally part of a corrupt system who wants to steal and take advantage of the masses, you are lying. Singapore is listed as the 5th least corrupt country in the world. Do you know how many countries are on that list? 180. They have a score of 88 out of 100. So yes, there's actually a scale to the shit. And what we have in our country does not need to be normal and doesn't need to be accepted. And finally, for those of us in our country who have accepted that violent crimes and murder are just normal to the point that we are now apologetic to those murderers, and those of you who are, your names need to be put on a list and we need to watch you very carefully. But the fact that we live in a country like that is not okay. I live in a country where I've spoken to detectives who tell me that in their cities, if there are 5 murders in an entire year, that is a lot. And that brings me back to that man's video. That man was a foreigner who came into South Africa and immediately noticed the stark difference between the haves and the have-nots, to the point where it actually bothered him and made him feel like he needed to make a video about it. But what we can learn from his thoughts in that video is that that's the whole idea about having access to an entire world, because it gives you the opportunity to see what life is like elsewhere and to realize that if it's possible over there, why isn't it possible over here? So for those of you who do believe that it's possible and who want to see that change and have been calling in the comment section for us to unite and to do things and asking what are the solutions, what should we do, I'm asking you, please hit that follow button and keep engaging with me in the videos, because it's through your discussions and your comments that I get the motivation to keep making these videos, and that I believe we will spark the change that's necessary. Because I saw somebody say something in one of those videos that said, it's about time that we let them know that we know what they are trying to do. And the best way to let them know is to, like they say on the streets, raak wys, man. By that I mean, I don't care whether you are pink, purple, blue or green. Let's get organized. Let's educate each other. And let's start taking meaningful action. Number 1, let's start reading, man.